Hey, everybody, welcome to the House of Roberts podcast. It's a podcast where we bring you into our loud, crazy Christian home to encourage, equip, and inspire yours. As always, I'm here, Michael, Gabrielle, back in studio, which is our home.
Isn't that nice?
Our home is our studio. Our studio is our home.
Let's go.
Our abode.
Yes. There's nothing, like, you can't feel more comfortable than recording in your own home.
I don't think you'd have it any other way. I don't think I could talk you out of it.
I don't think you could. I promise you, I think I would strong arm this moment. Because I feel like I'm really big on being authentically me in everything that I do. And if I feel like I am posing or superficial in any way, like I think it would mess up my whole dialogue and communication. Everything would tank and completely
the feng shui would just
I am very
mess with you.
Sensory driven in that way. Like I really am. It's one of my quirks.
You're such a quirky bird.
I a little bit.
Funny isn't it? The older we get, the more quirky we become.
Yes. I'm very aware of my surroundings really impact me, you know, the lighting, the sound of things, the overall function and feel of a room. That message, you know, that's
there's not a room you've ever entered into where you didn't adjust the light.
It's true. It's absolutely
and
true.
Whether that
Nobody can nail
is just
it like me.
Dimming the light or putting or pulling a shade away or putting a shade.
It's true.
You always change something about the lighting.
I can.
You walk into a room that's not even your house. You'll go no.
Oh my gosh.
And you'll start changing lights.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I can walk into a room and immediately feel if something's off. I will know if like a piece of furniture has shifted or a candle is no longer in the right spot or if a pillow is laying too flat. I will know when something has changed. If there's a new mark on the wall. How many times has this happened? Where if there is a new mark on the wall from one of my beautiful children, I will say, that's new. That wasn't there. That's new. Something happened. I would have seen it. Or how about...
You're so funny like that.
How about when your dad... I love my father-in-law. He is so wonderful. He is a gift. But how about when he is in town and he comes over the house and he turns on all of the lights at 100%?
Oh yeah, that's my dad. Like, every light gets turned on.
It takes everything in me.
It's a constant war between you and my dad. Lights are on, lights are off, lights are on.
My
lights are
eye
off.
will twitch. I look in the dining room and it's like the brightest, place it could possibly be. It's like looking at the sun in the dining room and I'm just like, oh my God. And if I go down and lower it, I promise you, my man goes to the wall and hires it.
Probably because he legitimately can't see.
He totally can't. And bless you. Yes, I should want that. But I feel the pounding of the lights in my body.
You're funny.
Which I think actually there is legitimacy to it. I know people who a couple days a week will not use lights in their house and they do things by candlelight. And they're not Amish. They're not like, super crazy, crunchy people, but there's something about the electrical force that shoots through our homes that our bodies take all that stuff in.
I don't doubt it. You can tell you lived in California for like 13 years though.
Well,
you got some of this hippie
I believe
nonsense.
it because sometimes I feel I lower lights because I can feel like it's almost pulsing through my body.
Well,
I'm not making this up.
Somebody out there, maybe some of the ladies out there.
Yeah, somebody please validate this. I know that I'm not the only one.
Maybe that's where you're overly, overly stimulated. So drop some lights down.
Yeah.
Spend a night by the candlelight.
Yeah.
Just like
relax.
Don't feel
your
take your shoes off, go into the backyard, and be grounded.
Be grounded in the grass.
We can't do that right now because it's been raining nonstop where we are.
Have a
There's
lake
literally
in our front yard.
Lakes of puddles everywhere.
Yeah, but it's better than snow. We are
I'll take
progressing.
that. I'll take that. Yeah, that's true. I'm done. I'm done with snow.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, listen. We had an experience as a family Friday night.
Oh my gosh. I was going to bring this up.
We need to talk about it.
I was going to bring this up. Go for it.
So most Friday nights, we try to do a family movie night. We'll do that. So we're about like ritualistically doing things occasionally, just where not a lot of them, but things kids can look forward to.
Yeah.
It becomes part of our family kind of history that they'll look back on. And I remember actually just reading an article not too long ago when it talked about, they did a study that even when your kids are teenagers, actually the most impact when your kids are teenagers, when you do like a night thing, like a movie night or a game night regularly, it like impacts them incredibly. It's like, it's this beautiful impact on them.
I believe that.
Anyway, so we'll do movie night a lot of times where we'll mix it up. Sometimes we order in. Sometimes we did it a lot lately where we make your own pizzas.
Yeah.
Everyone gets to make
We've
their own
done
little
that
pizza.
the last few years. Yeah.
Sometimes we'll bring in an air mattress just to blow it up and just throw it in the middle just for fun. Anyway, so we'll pick a movie and that's the times. A lot of times we introduce them to like some of the movies we grew up in or some of the old school ones. But we did a
We
new
should
one.
make a list on all the movies that we've watched because
Oh,
we've
yeah.
watched a
We
lot of
watch a
good
lot of
ones. That could be
movies.
helpful to
Yeah.
families. But this Friday.
But this Friday we watched it's the new cartoon by Angel Studios called
Are they
David.
called cartoons?
Or-
Animation?
Yeah, animation movie, whatever.
Yeah, animation feels better.
Okay, sure. Animation. The David movie by Angel Studios.
So good.
Yeah,
So good.
it was great.
Like got in our soul. Good.
No, I mean I don't really generally love Christian developed content. Most of
Yeah.
the time I think it's
it's
not
getting better
well,
though.
but it is getting better.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
give you
getting
that. It's
better.
getting better.
Yeah.
You can tell that a lot more people are investing into it. But I'll tell you what, this movie,
Ooh.
it was great. David, all about David, Goliath, Saul. The music was phenomenal.
So good.
I mean, we've been listening to this since then. We've been listening to the soundtrack. The kids
So
are in our
good.
car. They're listening to the soundtrack consistently.
My kids don't do this tons. They won't watch a movie back to back to back. Do you remember when you were little and you rented a movie and you straight binge watch that over
yeah.
and over? And I don't see that as much these
Well,
days.
because they had to go back to Blockbuster.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
You don't get so
Well,
much time with it. But
my
now,
kids don't do that often. Our
No.
kids don't do that often. But I'm telling you, they have watched this movie how many times?
a ton.
Ton. Ford, our oldest, 11 years old, he has watched it on his own so many times already.
Yeah.
Turn on the music by themselves.
It's great. I mean,
It's
it's
so
the
good.
like just the quality of the writing, like the music. I think Phil Wickham is like one of the like David
I
is
think Lauren
older.
Daigle is in it.
It's like, but it was impressively good and inspirational.
What was your favorite part?
Oh man, there actually I have so many favorite parts. I think one of my favorite parts is the part where when Samuel
Oh
anoints
God,
David
that's mine. That's my favorite part.
and he like sings in Hebrew, which you
Oh
don't
my gosh.
understand, but it's beautiful. The way
It's
they did it
beautiful.
was it moved
It
me.
moved me.
It moved me.
Ditto.
So I think
Ditto.
that was like one of my favorite parts.
That was mine for sure.
That was cool. It was just like that part was cool. And then there's the part where David comes and sings before Saul.
Oh, gosh.
And he sings like
Shalom.
Shalom. Oh man,
Oh
that
my
was
gosh.
moving too.
Oh my gosh.
I think we talked about
I think
it.
we should watch it. Let's just cue to that.
Let's just
cue to
go,
that.
go watch the movie. We don't even get any sponsorship for this, but
You
but we
could,
were-
Angel Vid, you can totally sponsor.
it's really good. We laughed because we were like, well, because we're getting ready to go down for spring break to go with my family for a little bit.
yeah.
I'm like, we're gonna watch this with JJ and Pops, and I think one of the girls was like, JJ's gonna cry when she sees this
She
part.
totally will. She will.
And she's right.
When he's getting anointed.
Oh, 100%.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, she
And
will cry.
even when David's singing to Saul, I bet you she cries too.
I could cry right
We probably
now.
do a cry count. We should do a cry count for Janet Roberts.
She'll be like,
at least 3 times. She's gonna just. I mean, she cried when she watches Hamilton.
oh my gosh, I was gonna bring it up. Watch Hamilton with my mother-in-law, you guys. She has seen it a gazillion times
Yeah.
and she weeps like she has never seen it before.
Yeah, she's watched it multiple times.
Oh my God.
And she'll weep at the same part. And George Washington's like he somehow passes it on. He's such a
I remember when we watched it with her, I literally look at her and one point I was like, you have seen this before, right? She's like, yeah, so many times.
But listen,
Oh my God.
great movie if you've never watched it.
Watch it.
I think we got it on Prime. Like you had to rent it or buy it. But
Yeah. We should buy it. Did
we'll
we not
have-
buy it?
We didn't buy it.
We have
we'll
to
have
buy
to buy
it.
it now. But it's great. Soundtrack's great. Really moving, inspirational. I like it. And you know what other thing we got me interested into? I just felt like I mumbled right there.
Yeah.
So we started watching that other one, House of David.
Yes, very
which is
good.
not for the kids.
No.
But that's on Prime too, and that's about that's same kind of story, but it's pretty good actually.
I think it's very good. And it's crazy to watch them together actually, because there's a lot of same events that are mirrored,
Yeah,
obviously from an animation to a little bit more of an adult action scenario. But I think they're nailing it.
they did a really good job, like quality wise. Again,
Do you know who's doing that? Is that the Chosen people?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know though. No, I don't think so. But and they take obviously some literary license, in which they tell you in the front end they do that. So
Yes.
it's like, hey, all super spiro people, just breathe.
Just
and
for like
just
theologians.
enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Enjoy the ride. Like I don't watch Goonies because I thought it was real, and I'm offended that there's not a guy named Chunk out there. they didn't follow. So let's breathe.
Yeah, I can get it though. I mean, it is hard when you're like talking about the Bible. You're kind of like, you just want things to feel.
Well, if you're trying to say like this is supposed to set doctrine for me, I guess you should be upset.
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to get doctrine from the house of David.
Yeah, that's
I'm just trying to be entertained, man. And you and I have been on this kick. It's our guilty pleasure we like to do. I mean, how does Mike and Gabby wind down? I've tried to be this person. I wish we were like reading people. I had this beautiful, one day I want to be that thing where you and I are just sitting in bed and reading. And that's how we go to bed. But I'm so tired.
I know.
That I don't want my brain, and maybe if I did fiction, but then I'm just like, I just want to watch it.
Yeah.
So anyways, we like to watch something before we go to bed, generally speaking.
Yeah.
And for a while, we were just on really like murder, thriller, intense.
Yep.
Murder happens episode 1.
Yep.
And the entire rest of the season is who did it, right?
Yep.
Like we were on this kick. So I felt like, you know what, maybe we should do something a little bit more spiritual.
A little bit more life-giving.
Let's get a little bit
edifying.
More biblical and not just, in the morgue shots. All that. I mean, there's a lot of action in this House of David.
There is.
I mean, it's pretty intense.
It is.
And I like it though. So far, I mean, we're in like, I don't know, we're like 4 episodes.
Even how they depict a tortured Saul.
Yeah.
Gosh. That's one of those things in the Bible, you kind of are like, what did that look like?
His torment.
Yeah, what did his torment look like?
Yeah.
And obviously, David, the animation, they talk to that a little bit, but they don't really animate that as they probably shouldn't. But in House of David, they do. And, you just wonder if it looked like that. I mean, and it's kind of scary. There's moments where it just feels dark and heavy, and you try to wrap your mind around that, because he was once just so anointed and outworking in the presence of God, and then all of a sudden Spirit of God has left him, and he's a tormented soul. It's just like, your mind.
It's
heavy stuff.
Heavy stuff, but it's good. So there you go, little movie and show recommendation.
Yes,
by the House of Roberts podcast.
Oh my gosh,
check it out.
David.
Both are on Prime. But if you have kids, younger kids,
oh
you should.
My gosh.
I mean, and we're probably late to the game. I know that was actually in theaters, and I remember hearing a lot about it. Not a lot, but some.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you know what? When that comes to, Prime or whatever, we'll rent it. And I'm glad we did because it's great. Great soundtrack. Anyway, so that's a great recommendation. Gabby, let's talk. We've been having this conversation a little bit about making friends.
Oh, yeah. Love it.
How do you make friends as an adult?
Oof.
Right, because I think, we're newer to this area. I mean, we grew up here, but been away for 13 years. And then and it's a 2-part thing, right? So how do you make friends as an adult? Because a lot of times we don't have friends or we struggle to.
Yeah.
And then, how does that impact the kind of friends our kids have, and how do we teach our kids to have friends? And can you really teach your kids to have friends if you don't know how to have friends?
Right.
And so let's talk about that a little, because sometimes we have conversations with some of our friends or other parents, and it's like they don't have a lot of friends, and they're like, how do we do this? And I remember you and I had a moment in California. We had like this like real talk moment where I think either you or me said, or I can't remember, but we agreed on it, which was like, I don't even think we know how to make friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, I mean, we both grew up in big families.
Yep.
Where generally a lot of our friends were our family. So you didn't really have to make friends. It was just like family, and we were around, or you did life with people in church. But then for us in particular, you get into ministry.
Yeah.
And you're a pastor, which is sometimes then a unique layer of, hey, are your friends, how close are you with people? How much can you let them in? Can they handle seeing you like that, open and transparent? All that stuff. Yeah. So it's layered to that stuff. So anyways, I figured let's talk about that for a little bit. And that's my little intro for you to go.
I love that.
Tag you're in. What do you have to say about that?
I love that. Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I think you're right. We evaluated this a while ago. And I think, we were trying to figure out like, hey, why does it feel like it's one? I think, we had moved to California. We had lived here in Ohio for our whole life up until some of those transitions out of country and then back over to California. And we had so much family here, you know what I mean? So we grew up in big families. And so that's kind of like I don't want to say Yeah, that's your forced friends, right? Like those are the ones you didn't choose. So you didn't really ever have to navigate in a lot of times how to introduce yourself, how to be friendly, how to invite people in, because you kind of just grew up with the people you grew up with in that respect. I don't think it was until we moved to California where we realized like, oh my gosh, we have to figure out how to navigate actually, inviting people into our life, beyond acquaintance. Cause I think that's really in church world, that is really easy to do. Mm-hmm. It's really easy to be surrounded with so many people in the church community, but really nobody knows you. And I would say another level of that when you find yourself in ministry, I love ministry. I think it's the most beautiful thing, so hard, so challenging. But if you're not careful, it can become really lonely and isolating because you almost think that you have to overprotect, overguard. So I think that is even interesting to navigate in the friend world as well, because you have that tension you're trying to manage of, like you said, okay, can I trust? Can I do these things? Like, can I say that? Will they understand? So you're kind of like, yeah, you're managing different tensions in that. But in California, we really kind of hit this moment where we had moved there. There were so many amazing people. And we were getting involved slowly but surely, but we felt a gap in community, like really people that we were going to do life with. And I feel like our pastors were so good about teaching the importance of community and the importance of doing life with people and how God set us up to live this life engaged with people. And, one thing Pastor Becky would always ask me, whenever we would, a lot of times when we would connect, she would always ask me about my friends. She would always ask, who are you hanging out with? Okay. Who are you, sharing things with? Who's praying with you? Who are you having fun with? And I always loved that question because it just, one, I realized that she thought it was important that there would be friends and people we were sharing life with. And two, it kept that in front of me. There were times I'd be like, I don't know who I'm doing that with. I don't know who I'm sharing that with. So it was like great accountability. But, we had to navigate, how to actually start to do that out there. And that took time, huh?
Yeah. And it was, cause again, like you said, you also start having a family, you have kids. And so it's easy just to be like, well, my family's my friends,
yes,
right? Or my community is my family, which again, you and I believe so much in the family unit. I mean,
we bleed it.
Yeah. So that's what we're about. However, I think there is an importance to still doing life with people and having relationships and friendships, and maybe not a ton,
right?
But some authentic, real bonding, deep relationships with certain people that I think God created us to exist that way.
Yes.
God creates in the Trinity, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. He's a communal being. Did God have to do that? No, God's God. He doesn't have to do anything, but he chooses to live that way. And if we're created in his image and we're learning how to be like God, which means we were created in his image and in the likeness, which means we have the image, we're image bearers, the Imago Dei, right, is stamped on us. But also the goal was for us to learn how to be like God, which God is a community driven. He lives in community. He wants to be in community relationship with you and me.
Yes.
That's why he sent the Holy Spirit to dwell on the inside of us. So there's just naturally that should be some level in our lives. And so I felt like you and I, we were challenged because we were filling the gap because again, we were out in another state. So we weren't around family, which is probably honestly was a great thing for that reason. Because you didn't have family to fall back on.
I think so.
And we were like, man, I don't even know if we know how to be good friends, right? And so we remember just praying and asking the Holy Spirit to teach us and just trying to challenge ourselves to kind of step out to begin to cultivate those relationships. Because again, that's why I make the case for it, I think, because it is important. Because there are, you walk through so many crazy things when you're married and when you're a parent that what's normal, what's not normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I feeling, am I getting weird? Am I getting wonky? Like my doctrine getting off? And unless you're doing life with people and are beginning to be open and transparent, you'll be more isolated. And the devil's goal is always to isolate you, because if he can get you isolated, he can
lie.
lie and pervert, and there's no one's challenging that lie or
Yeah.
challenging the way you're doing things. Like, whoa, I love you, and because I love you, I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
Don't do that, or why are you, so.
And there's healing
Yep.
in relationship, right? The Bible says to confess your sins
Yep.
to one another and what? Be healed.
Yeah,
So there you
100%.
find healing
Yeah,
in
very good.
community, So you can't know that. You can't know that and not practice that. The Bible's clear about this way of doing life with people and community and brothers and sisters. Yes, your own flesh and blood, but beyond that, the community that is the body of Christ. And you don't have to have a million friends, but there should be a nice little handful, 2, 3. What does the Bible say? If you have how many good friends? Consider yourself blessed.
Is that in the Bible?
Yes, it's like consider yourself blessed if you can say you have one good friend. Or I'm not making this
serious?
up. I'm not making this up.
I have no idea
It's
where
got to
that's
be
from.
Proverbs. It's got to be Proverbs.
Are you serious? I'm
gonna
fact-checking
find
you on
it. Fact check me. It's something about consider yourself.
It kind of sounds like a Passion Translation.
I promise you. The Passion Translation. I promise you something like maybe consider it if you have one good friend that shut your face. Shut your face.
I'm literally wrecking my brain.
I'm not making this up. I'm going to find it, and next week we are going to talk about it. Anyways, you don't have to have many. The point is you don't have to have many, but you have to have some. You have to have some people to share your life with.
I can't get over that. Count yourself
blessed.
blessed. Shalom one.
Oh my
with
gosh.
the acquaintance of one person.
Thus saith the Lord. I promise you I've not made this up, but that's okay.
You know
we will
what?
figure
I
it
don't
out.
doubt you have. It's definitely.
I want to keep the
translation
thought, or
verse.
else I'd Google it right now.
Yeah, keep the thought. Keep
Bottom
going.
line, you don't have to have tons,
Right, 100%.
A nice huddle, 2, 3, 4 people that you've surrounded yourself to share life with, people that really know you, people that you can process with, people that you can share your weaknesses with and ask for prayer. People that help shoulder the burden that sometimes happen in life. People that you can have fun with and enjoy life with. Genuinely, I mean, one of the standouts for us with the community we built in California, and I want to say this, that took time.
Right.
The friendships we made in California that are going to be lifetime friendships probably didn't happen until right around year 5,
Right.
4, 5. That there started to be this deep rootedness to our friendships. It took having some fails. It took being wounded by some people in the church. At times where you would have that anywhere in life.
Yep.
But we building that community and sharing life and fun and adventuring together and building, I'm telling you, that's the riches of life. That I look now, even since we've moved, and I look back on all the amazing things that we experienced in California. It would not have been the same without those people.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that took time, that took grit, that took prayer, that took learning how to be a friend, that took vulnerability and openness. And yes, we're always going to have our friends out there, but now guess what we're doing? We're doing it all over again here.
Right. Right. Well, like you said, fast forward
Which
13
is
years
crazy.
later. So why are we talking about this? Well, fast forward 13 years later in California, we went down a road in a journey where we actually had it. We'd gotten that. Like we had established you had them. I had them, friends that that were close. You know what I mean? And that like you said, we will carry on through eternity as friends.
Yes.
And you started saying some things, and I think it is okay. So how is that, right? So it's important. Okay, Mike, Gabby, it's important. And how do you start that, right? If that's something you're longing for, or you had it at one point, and then, but since then, it's kind of because sometimes too, you have certain friends. and when you were single, and then you get married, and then all of a sudden you kind of drift apart because
Yeah,
they're
seasons
single,
will
you're
shift
married,
things.
or even like
Yeah.
married couples. All of a sudden we're married, but then we start having kids, and
my
then all of a sudden, and I get it. When
Oh
I
my
was
gosh.
when it was just you and me, I didn't want to hang out with my
That's so
friends with
real.
kids either,
Yeah.
So it's those are things too where
And being okay with that too. You being okay with that, and understanding if those friends that aren't in the same season of you distance themselves a little. Like, you
Yeah.
almost have to cope with that.
Yeah.
Because I definitely had friends that were in different seasons of me still. And honestly, like they just weren't going to come over to the house and hang out as
And that
much
was
as
the
I
only way
wanted
you-
them to.
And that was the only way you would be able to hang
Yeah,
out. if
I
they came
mean,
over.
let's say this more frequently. That was the only way you were going to get time
Right,
with me.
right.
If you were okay with having like one-off lunch dates, every couple months, then like cool. And you kind of just have to cope with, okay, you have this relationship still, but it looks different, and that's okay for them, and that's okay for you. And God always provides new people for new seasons. And so you see the provision of God constantly layering people into your life to share, those seasons with. So you do have to release people and not live in a deep place of offense and broken heart. It's okay to grieve that. There's humanity
Sure.
in that. And I've definitely experienced that throughout years. I've gotten good at like recognizing the season that I'm in. And I've gotten good at understanding that God brings people in for seasons and takes people out for seasons, and that there's some people that are just going to stick throughout a lifetime, and just being thankful for the time you have with the people that he kind of shifts in and out.
Yeah, that's
you know
great.
what I mean? Like being thankful for that time, having a heart of gratitude for what that relationship built into you. But okay, let's be even just like a little bit vulnerable, right? So it's been hard to leave all those friendships that we had left. Share some of the vulnerabilities being here now, and knowing that like we have to press forward. Like we have to step out again. And
Right. No, like you said, there's always the mourning piece. Whether there are friends that you've moved away from, they're no longer in your life the way they were, right? I mean, they're still in our lives. But
yeah,
they're
they
different.
are.
Or again, a shift of phase of life. Again, that we're just talking about. Like there's a mourning there because, you can get to the place where I don't want any more friends. I'm good. I have my friends.
Oh my gosh, that's
and so, there those things happen. So for me, we're at that place where we almost can go back to our normal old habits, which is like we'll just be fully engulfed in our family.
Yeah.
And just stay
Yeah.
inwardly and just
Yeah.
kind of do. And when you've got major shifts, like this is truth too. I think sometimes you got major shifts. Sometimes you've got to. Those are the moments where you have to manage the tension of like, look, I don't want to be out a lot with people, and my kids need me present more
Yeah.
than normal.
I'm extra exhausted.
So I get that, but then sometimes you get to the place where like, okay, we're good, and now we got to start again back to where we were, where it's kind of developing relationships again, which again is a little bit scary, a little bit challenging.
You almost wonder if you have when you're in a shift too, you almost wonder, do I have the energy to do this?
Sure.
Can I do I even have it in me to like step out and be vulnerable again? Like I've felt that a lot. Like I'm like, that was a lot of work. It was beautiful. It was worth it. But like what we were able to build in our past season was a lot of work. And I know in this season, where you're kind of still adjusting and maybe a little exhausted from the season, you're like, do I even have it in me to like put myself out there again? You know? So it's even the want to, like
Sure.
kind of how we talked about last episodes, like you don't feel like it. But okay, I've told myself about this on the friend topic. It's like, okay, I don't always feel like it, but I know I have to,
Yeah. Like you said, you realize you've understood the importance of it. You understand how it's necessary. Now you just gotta motivate yourself to do it. And I think, how do you start that? I think you pray. I mean, I remember we used to pray. Pray for friends.
Yes.
It sounds
It's
pathetic,
true.
but
No,
but you wouldn't
it's
just pray for
true.
but I wouldn't even be praying for any. I mean, we're praying for the right friends, right? So I think
Yeah.
anything you do should always start with prayer.
Yeah.
So you want friends? What do we do? And what we're doing right now, we're praying for friends. Like God send me the right people. Let our paths cross with the right people. the people that you want us to interact with in our lives, to intersect with.
Yeah.
I think it always starts with prayer, because we start praying with prayer, then all of a sudden I find when you pray about something, it becomes more on your radar,
It's true.
right?
No,
So
absolutely.
if you want your focus to shift on something, you pray.
Yeah.
And that's why when something's challenging you or you're going through something hard, one of the reasons why I would encourage you to pray is because if you're going through something hard, many times you're just staring and you're at the problem, and you're focusing on it, and you can't get your eyes off it. But as you're praying, it kind of, your eyes get off the problem, gets it on God. And so prayer just puts this expectation.
Right.
It
lifts your eyes in perspective.
Yeah. So I think you need to pray that. 1, 2, you just got to kind of get out of the comfort zone and start trying to move towards the direction of making friends.
Right.
We just got to be in people's lives, right?
Right.
And so that's why I think church with like small groups, if you're part of, that's why I believe in church too, is there's a community there that is available that maybe for some people you haven't tapped into. You go to church on Sunday, that doesn't build community.
No.
Community doesn't get built in rows. It's built in circles.
Yes.
I think I heard that in some sort of
I bet
church planning
is
conference.
it in the Bible?
And I think it's right. It's the verse right after.
It sounds like a proverb.
Blessed are you that has one friend.
I'm gonna find that.
Okay.
I'm not making that up.
But going to church 100%. I go to church all the time. I don't have any friends. Because if you go late and you leave early,
Right.
you're definitely not making
that.
you're definitely not making your
Yes.
friends. And the scripture actually says, Proverbs says, is like, if you want to have friends, be friendly.
Right.
If you want to have friends, you got to be friendly. So
Yeah.
you've got to make the first move. And so I would say, when we've started serving on a team at our church, which we started doing, like
which has been really
we just
good.
went to
Really
we did like a
helpful.
3-week small group. We jumped in on at our one campus that we go to, and I will that bonds you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's beyond, you're having
Yeah.
conversations,
Yeah.
and you need to know people. You got to just take a step out
And you have
do
to,
it.
you got to know it's going to feel awkward. Like, honestly, if I'm so honest, it felt awkward for me to step into some of those scenarios. Like, I didn't feel ultra, comfortable with, all those people, right at first. So it's okay that it would feel awkward. I want to say that because sometimes it's like, if you walk into something and you're like, oh, it just felt uncomfortable. It didn't feel like super jelly right away, whatever you're looking for, you cannot want to go back.
Yeah.
But anything new is awkward. Anything
100%.
anything new is awkward. You have to give yourself time to adjust. And again,
Awesome.
that's fantastic. The UPS is here. I'm leaving it in. This is not going to be edited. I promise you.
The benefits of filming at your home is the UPS driver comes.
Yes.
And
Is
drops
he
up.
needing us to answer the door, or is he just going to leave?
So we had to cut there
That was awesome.
because the UPS guy showed up, which is, again, we do like to film at home, but you occasionally get that. And hopefully the sound catches our doorbell, which is hilarious.
Which is honestly god
It
awful.
plays
We need to switch that.
I think it was
thing.
Row, Row, Row Your Boat.
Oh my
that
god,
played
which
it.
is actually appropriate today since there's lakes of
100%.
water everywhere.
But we had to pay the UPS guy like
a check.
check. When's the last time you had to pay UPS a check?
Cash on delivery.
What did you buy, Gabrielle?
It was lighting for a project.
We had to pay.
And we had to pay it was lighting samples, but I thought I got them. I thought I got them free. So bottom line, I didn't get them free. It was cash on delivery. And we had to write UPS a check, which was just really,
I mean, I'm glad I had one. I mean,
thank
how
God.
do you know?
My friend was not going to leave that package if he didn't get that check.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't either, And he even said, he's like, this is in 15 years, the second time I ever had to do this. I'm like, my God.
You know what? They came from Ireland. It's an Irish company. So I'm wondering if they're just kind of old school.
So maybe it's tariffs. I think he said it was something like tariffs, but
Oh,
it's part of, starting your own business. You got stuff like this,
Yeah. Yeah,
But,
that makes
yeah,
sense.
well.
You know what? I did get an email about that.
Oh, you did?
It was about tariffs, but I thought they were covering the charge. No, we covered the charge of the tariffs. Bringing them in.
Okay, well, let's get back. We were talking about friends. You were talking about,
Yeah.
we said, hey, you need to pray. 2, you need to put yourself out there.
Yeah,
And
you got to know it's going to feel uncomfortable,
Exactly.
and you've got to give grace for that adjustment.
100%.
Don't stop going just because it feels uncomfortable. Anything in the beginning is so awkward. I am in that season right now, and I am merging out of it because I'm doing the opposite. I'm not giving into my feelings of it feels awkward. I'm not going. I'm facing that fear. I'm facing that fear head on, and I'm reaching out in opposition of the awkwardness that I feel. And I'm telling you, every moment that I show up in whatever that is, it gets less awkward.
Sure.
So you have to do that with the understanding of this is worth it.
Right.
Like doing life with community and friends. We're called to do that. And it's worth it.
And again, like you said, sometimes, and if you've tried it and it's not worked out, or there wasn't that connection, or it wasn't good. You don't let that go into the tally of, well, this is why I don't have friends, which is generally the rhythm, right?
Yeah.
They had a friend, they betrayed you, or it didn't work out, or they were too high maintenance, and whatever it is, and it's just like, dude, we're not clicking.
Yeah.
And so many people just tally that into the realm of, well, that's why I don't need friends, or I don't have friends.
Yeah.
Instead, you should go, okay, well, that just wasn't that was a bummer. I didn't like that. I'm gonna have a moment to woo-saw and clear my brain from
Totally.
that. But that's just part of trying to figure out who my people really are.
Yeah.
So instead of saying that's a negative, just say, okay, well, that just wasn't the person. That wasn't the person.
Right.
So we're gonna find somebody else. And I remember that happened in California too. You know what I mean? There were people that we thought. I mean, specifically for you, because you're what?
What am I?
What am I going to say right now?
I don't
even know
know
what I was going to say.
but
you looked at me right now. No, I remember you more than anybody. You really wanted friends.
Yeah.
I remember, like, even in California. Whereas guys are like, I'm good. But I remember you really, that was a desire of your heart. And so there were certain people that came in that you really thought were people. And it just didn't turn out. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
Bottom line,
It's
for
true.
multiple reasons why, for different people, and that hurt you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That wounded you. That was hard for you.
Right.
But I respected that you kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because it's worth it, and I know it. And I think what I held on to with that was, I see it all over the word that God's created us to live in this community, right? And so I want to live in community. I want to have the rewards and the fulfillingness of living life with people that really know you, right? So I love that. But one of the verses I used to pray was that God sets the lonely in families, and so. I remember I would pray that, and I would say, God, you know who my family's supposed to be. Like, and family meaning friends, right? He sets you in community. He sets us in community. And I remember my dialogue with the Lord would be like, hey, you know who my family is. And so I'm thanking you in advance that you're setting my feet there. Like, you're going to set my feet in the family. You're going to set Michael and I's feet in the right family. And took trial and error. But it happened, you know? And so pray that prayer. I think that's a perfect prayer to pray. God knows exactly who he has for you. He knows exactly who's going to help grow and sharpen, and you're going to have fun with, and you're going to adventure with, that you're going to raise your babies with, he knows all of that. And so pray and thank him that he's setting your feet.
Yeah.
He's setting your feet in the family he's called you to.
That's very good.
And he will.
Yep, 100%. And so when you're making that journey and you're starting to get to know people and you're starting to get in relationships and a little bit more in their lives, obviously, just because someone makes a mistake doesn't mean that they can't be trusted around your friend anymore. Because sometimes that happens too, right?
Oh, yeah,
like friendships are bonded when you're able to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I forgive you.
Yeah.
Right? That's a part of building friendships. And so we're not looking for perfect people to be friends with.
No.
We're looking for people that will say sorry when they make a mistake, and we'll say, I forgive you when we make the mistake. And we apologize.
Yes.
And so I think that set fair expectations on that.
Yeah. That's real relationship.
Right. And that's how you bond,
100%.
by offense and then forgiveness.
100%.
That's you're going through hard things together.
Yeah.
And you apologize. That's all part of it. And so I think, that's part of the journey, right? Don't say, hey, the perfect friends are the people that we never fight with, or we never have disagreements with, or we always see eye to eye on stuff. Like, no, that's not friendship.
No,
that's
not real.
acquaintances, that's
Yeah.
surfacey stuff. But if you're looking for some deep rooted relationships and some bonds, It takes time to get there, one, because you have to develop trust.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a proponent of like, hey, yeah, open your heart right away to every single person.
Totally.
Don't do that.
No.
Be particular. Go there at some point in the relationship. You have to, and if you want it to deepen beyond a surface level. But no, that's the cost. That's part of the cost of that. When you're going through hard things together, be honest. When you're going through something hard, that also bonds you with people in relationships. Like when you and I were going through some challenging things in California, different moments, whether it was with health or with job or with the church. We bond. That's when we would, and we reached out.
It's true.
We didn't keep it in because we shared like, hey, I'm really like the guys that I'm really close with now. Part of the process for me of developing that was when I was like, guys, dude, I need you to pray for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm struggling with this right now, or I'm feeling this way right now. Just be praying for me. Those are those
Which
vulnerable
isn't natural
moments.
for a guy.
Oh, definitely not.
More
No.
natural for women, but not natural
100%.
for a guy.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think women are more most right. Obviously, there are exceptions. Most women are more. It seems like more able to share their what they're feeling and going through.
Yeah.
Guys, for sure, where we struggle with that, and so I've just found that when I'm able to do that with somebody, it just bonds us. And it only takes one guy to do it.
It's true.
One guy
That's
to
good.
do that.
Good.
Well, it creates a momentum where the other guys will do it as well.
Yeah.
But someone's got to break the ice. Someone has to be bold and step out and go there with it.
Right.
And so I think those are just some things that are good, helpful thoughts and ideas to developing that, because I think it's important. I also think, man, it just turned out that a lot of times, generally our friends are also had kids the same age as our kids. So it just was a natural, one of the ways that we kind of developed relationships and connected was our kids would be friends with their kids and hang out. And so we could all hang out together.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the kids would eventually be playing. We're able to hang out and talk and have fun, and so I think that's also a good way to approach it as well. Is our friends their parents were our friends.
Yeah.
Which I think is also a great way to get to know your kids' friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is
Yeah.
be friends with their parents.
Yeah.
And
I think being open to that, I love that. Being open to that even beyond the church world too. And this is like / a little bit of evangelism, but like, we hung out with a lot of the people in church, right? But like once Ford started getting involved with sports, it opened up this whole new world of like the sport side of parents or school. Let's even say that the school side, the kids that would go to school didn't always go to the church, and yet Ford, the girls, were making these bonds with kids. And so we started to host, like we would have parties at our house with, we would throw it for like one of the kids' class, Ford's class, for the girls' class. Crew wasn't really, he wasn't at that age 100%. But our home was very open in that respect because we were wanting to build more relationship with some of the kids' parents. And some of them weren't even very, weren't in church or, maybe not even following, strong in faith. And we saw it as an opportunity, like a ministry to build these bonds and to, begin to strengthen the ties there, between even outside of like your church friends. And I loved that. And I thought it was cool how sometimes the world's merged, with like baseball parents or school parents with like the church, the church side of things, and how those relationships just kind of naturally struck up beyond even us. It was like there would be people that were at our house that would meet at our house and then they became friends.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So you just never know. You never know, who you're going to,
who you'll connect with, who you'll hit it off with. I remember there was this one moment where this was years ago, and Ford was hanging out, and some of the boys he was hanging out with, one day he was getting close with, I didn't love the influence he was having on Ford, or just he was, and I was like, it's like, it's this place where I wasn't there to be like, hey, don't hang out with him. But I was
Right.
like, what do I do with this, God? And I remember I was like, well, if he's acting this way, like, then I started to know more about the family, understood like, there's
Right.
just some family things going on there. I
Right.
said, you know what? If I'll become that guy's friend.
Mm-hmm.
And if we'll like start connecting, and I believe that in that, like, God will call him higher, which means he's going to call him higher as a father, which means he's going to
Yeah.
like impact his
Yes.
son.
Yes.
Which, you know what I mean? It was like one of those
Yes.
things where it was like, I just had that insight. Go, I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to be friends with them. And it was cool to see how that changed and
Yeah.
and that like morphed and it happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think there's some of that to be said
Yes.
where because and this may be where we blend into this a little bit. We can move from our friends to like your kids' friends.
Right.
Because this is actually really, really big.
It is
This is massive
big.
because scripture says that a bad company corrupts good character.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is one thing that can sabotage good parenting is bad friends.
Yes.
You can be a great parent.
Mm-hmm.
If your kids get along the wrong kids, that can mess up your all of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we see that. And so I think one of the reasons why you and I wanting to continue to
Yes.
learn how to be a good friend
Yes.
and have friends, but let our kids see
Yes.
us having friendships
Yes.
is because we need them to be able
Yes.
to learn how to have great friends.
Yes.
Because that will, now God is
Huge.
God and he will redeem and he will, no matter who gets off track, bring them back on. But I think there are, if we've learned anything from a lot of the vet parents that have raised kids now into adulthood,
Right.
and one of the consistent things, like some of them would be like, we chose our kids' friends and we were very particular on that. And then we had friends that were, will talk us through like some of the kids that their friends, they're hanging out with right now that are impacting them in a negative way.
Right.
And so it was one of those things where you have to be particular, on who your kids are hanging out with
Yeah.
and who you, how you teach. I guess, how are we, let me just ask it instead of, so how do you think we're going about it? How do you think we're doing on our kids having friends, making friends, picking the right friends?
Right.
I mean,
I love that. I love it because this is the progression of this thought. I think what keeps me accountable to making sure that I'm continuing to be intentional about my friends is I think it's so spiritual and I think it's so generational. I think we have to do it and navigate it, not perfect, but well and intentionally so that they can learn how to do it, right? And I think, your kids watch you. They watch you, everything, in the little things and the big things and the small insignificant things. They watch you and they mimic you. And I think this is one of those areas that sometimes maybe if they don't observe it well, that it can malform them a little bit. And they can want to step out and explore things a little bit more because they just were never taught.
yeah.
They never saw it. They never observed it. You never talked about it, right? And God's good. Like God has a way of working all that together for the good. If like that was missed, he's so good like that. God's a good father. But I think for us, I do have this conviction to show them how to do that, well. And so even in the discomfort at times here where you kind of just want to keep in and just be like, no, we're good. I'm like, no, I have to show them. We have to get beyond this and we have to build new relationships because I want to make sure we're continuing to model that. So I do think that impacts things like big. What they see you doing will impact the type of friends that they choose and how they handle those friendships. So I do think that there's some like osmosis in that. I think we're doing okay. I think we're learning and navigating what that kind of looks like as we go. I think if I'm honest, I think our kids are choosing friends well, even seeing them jump here from the relationships they had in California. Our kids made friends really quick here in all of the buckets of life. Like and not that there wasn't moments in the beginning where they were like, I miss my friends. I mean, they still miss them at times, but they've done well in grafting here, and I look at the character of person that they kind of choose and I'm liking it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm liking who they're choosing to spend their time with. there's totally, I mean, Ford, we're in kind of like new territory where like he's 11, going to be 12 this year. He's definitely entering into like pushing some boundaries. You know what I mean? And there's been even a couple times with friends where we've heard him like maybe drop some language or like they're talking about girls. And I think you have a moment and like those have been funny moments to navigate a little bit. But you can look at that and be like, oh my God, I'm totally failing. Or you can look at it and be like, no, pay attention to it. Like you're getting an indicator of like what needs to be coached, what needs to be taught, what needs to be strengthened in a weak spot, you know? And so I feel like we're in this moment where we're seeing that a little bit more with Ford on, hey, Ford, we don't talk like that. You know that, right? That's not how we talk, right? Calling them higher. Hey, Ford, I know some of your friends are going to be talking about girls all the time. Tell me, where are you at with that? Like it's conversation on boards. But our kids are relationally driven.
Right.
I mean, relationships are big for them. We need to get a third phone because they want to talk to their friends all the time.
Right.
Actually, 3 probably won't even be enough.
No,
because
they'll be
all
fighting
fight
over the first one.
I know.
But like you said, I think you have to, when your kids are younger, right? And so now they're at a place, and this isn't bad. You got to probably do this at whatever age your kids are at. But I think you just highlight the attributes of what a good friend's like.
Yeah.
And then you challenge them to be that type of attribute.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you want you want to be that kind of, you want that kind of friend, be that kind of friend.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you can start talking about friends that are always kind, that believe the best, that will stand up for you. I think even I've heard people do this, but like you're watching a show or you're watching a movie and you see hey, what a bad friend would do. Highlight, hey, that would not be what we do.
Great.
Or you see a good friend example. Highlight that with your kids. Like just kind of it's just nonchalantly just highlighting what it looks like to be a good friend and pointing out examples of it.
Yeah.
Praising it when you see it.
Right.
Instructing them in that way. I think those are just natural ways you just kind of progressively kind of instill an understanding of this is what a friend is like.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
But okay, it's like, hey, Mike and Gabby, show me this biblically because I thought you were Christians and you're supposed to love everybody. Okay, let's look at the life of Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Jesus, when he did his ministry, did not do it alone. He did it with 12 other men. And so first of all, before Jesus chose them, the Bible actually says that he went up in the mountain and he prayed. Mm-hmm. So before we see this like prayer moment before, then he goes finds them. So Jesus' model, he loved the multitudes. He would minister to the multitudes. He discipled 12 and then he mentored 3. Mm-hmm. And what you see in the life of Jesus is the closer you got to him, the more particular he was in who those people were.
Yeah.
He preached to the multitude. You want to come? I will preach and minister to you. He chose 12. And then he chose of the 12, 3. And those 3 saw the most intimate moments of Jesus, Peter, James, and John.
Yep.
They saw him transfigured on the mountain.
Yep.
They saw him when he raised a little girl back to life. They saw him when he was weeping in the garden before he's crucified. Mm-hmm. So Jesus was very particular. Depending on how close you got, he chose those people. And so that for me is the model of friendship as an adult.
Yeah, I love that,
or for your
Mike.
kids.
That's
hey,
great.
Like you said, have a party. Have everybody.
Absolutely.
Merge the worlds, baseball world with church or whatever. I love that. Like anyone should be welcome in your home, right? But those that are going to be closest to you, you better be particular.
Yeah.
You better be choosing those because again, bad company corrupts good character.
Right.
There's that phrase that was huge back in the 90s when I was like in youth group, but which was like, show me your friends and I show you your future, right? Yeah. And every youth pastor used to say it like they came up with that, But like that's the truth.
Yeah.
Like you become who you hang out with. So that's what you should be. So there's biblically for me, there was a precedence that laid out by our Savior, Jesus Christ, on how he did relationships. So I think it's okay. Say, hey, that person's not bad. It's not worth saying the kid's bad, but it's like, hey, though, if this person is going to enter into the inner sanctum of a relationship with my son or daughter, I'm going to teach them to be very particular with it. They don't need to be perfect because we said the cost of deep relationships is at times mistakes and forgiveness. That's part of it. Mm-hmm. But generally speaking, you should be praying for your kids' friends. I mean, we do that. Just like you pray for their spouse, you should pray for their friends.
That's it.
That God would surround them with the right people.
Yes.
And then you teach them what that looks like to be. Show them how to be a good friend.
Yes.
So the thing too, if you're showing, hey, this is how you're going to be a good friend, then they'll want that type of person around.
I agree.
And then the person that comes along that isn't like that will become more repelling to them. Like, ooh, I
Right.
don't want that. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so I think it's okay that you should be particular. I think it's good that you do that. Open your home at times, but let's really develop relationships with people that, and bringing people in our kids' lives. And sometimes you pick them, you know what I mean? Like, why not? You know what I mean?
Totally.
And then you go out there and like make introductions or whatever. But I think it's a big deal.
Oh,
Friendships,
absolutely.
I think, will make or break. I don't know if that's true. Maybe it is. But I think it really impacts, let's say it this way. It impacts
It's a
how you do
keystone.
life.
Yeah.
And I think it should be something that I think most parents would say, I don't have many friends.
Right.
And because of that, I think it trickles down to their kids, where the kids will just make friends. And we have no filter of like, ooh, no, and so then there's a struggle there. So bottom line, I
it's
just
great.
think pray, step out, model it,
Yep.
fall, get back up, don't quit. At one point, be open, be transparent, and just embrace the fact that it'll take time,
Yeah.
and be particular, So those are just some thoughts on friendship.
I love that. So good.
Hey, congratulations. You have made it to the end of this episode.
Oh my God.
We had so much fun doing this episode, and our conversation continued for a while. So much so that we decided to make it a part 1 and a part 2. So you've come to the end of part 1. Thank you so much for listening or for watching. We'll be back next week, every Wednesday, 7 a.m. Posting. So next week we will have our part 2 of this conversation. But thank you.
good.
This has been the House of Roberts podcast. We will see you next week.